first today is to finish this chapter 17, and then I will run a very detailed review for final exam. Basically, literally tell you what's going to be on the final exam, 30 questions. So this chapter about externalities. Okay. You need to know that what does externality mean. So that means externalities means a cost or profit that affect the third party, not directly involved in the transaction. Okay. And there are two types of externalities. One is negative, and the other is positive. Okay. Negative externality occurs when costs imposed on a third party, not directly involved in the transaction. Okay. For example, pollution. And a positive one means there's some benefit or spillover benefit that can be enjoyed by a third party, not directly involved in the transaction. Okay. But when I give you the review question, I will tell you how many questions will be on this chapter. For 17, there are two questions. Okay. First, ask you how to find the socially optimal price and quantity of a good or service when there are positive and negative externalities. How to find the socially optimal level. Okay. And from last class, we learned how to find the private or market quantity and market equilibrium quantity and price. So if there are negative externalities, competitive markets or free market for electricity, okay, and we know that in the process of producing electricity, there's some external marginal cost occurs. Right? Some external marginal cost imposed on some third party not involved in the transaction. So here, that's the market price of electricity and demand, and we call this private marginal cost. That means the cost that is borne by the seller of electricity. Okay, so the cost that is borne by the party that directly involved in the transaction. So that's private marginal cost is our supply curve. Okay. So on the final exam, I'll give you the mathematical expression for marginal cost. You need to know that's our supply. And this demand is private marginal benefit. So on the final exam, I'll give you private, so inverse demand. For example, in the market for electricity, the inverse demand is P is 4 minus 2Q. That's inverse demand. You need to know that inverse demand is our demand curve here. Okay, market demand, also that's private marginal benefit. Okay, that's benefit enjoyed by the parties directly involved in the transaction. The benefit enjoyed by the electricity purchaser or buyer. Okay, and then so when there are no externalities, this is how we get the equilibrium, market equilibrium price of quantity and price. I just said these two things equal to each other, the intersection point. And but when there are negative externalities, we should know that you need to know the cost, or there's some external marginal cost. That external marginal cost will affect the supply curve. So the social marginal cost, that's this is private marginal cost. Social marginal cost equals private marginal cost plus some external marginal cost. Okay, that's external marginal cost. And this horizontal line represents the size of negative externalities or the size of external marginal cost. And then just to say, this is the private marginal cost and this is a social marginal cost. And the vertical distance between this line, between these two lines, represent our size of external marginal cost. Okay, and then you can find the socially efficient or socially optimal level of quantity and the price at point A. And then, as I said, this triangle represents daily loss. Okay, for each additional unit of electricity produced, there is a difference between social marginal cost and private marginal cost. Social marginal cost is higher than private marginal cost if you aggregate all the units produced, like from Q star to Q market, and the shaded triangle represents the daily loss. And on the final exam, I'm not giving you this graph, I'm just give you this inverse demand and marginal cost curve an external marginal cost. For example, later on you'll see the example, 50 cents, and how do you solve for optimal level or socially optimal quantity and price. Okay, so here, this is a socially optimal level quantity is lower than market quantity, equilibrium quantity. That's why we say when there are negative externalities, free market tends to produce too much of a bad thing, right? Produce too much. And then look at this example. Suppose, the final exam question about this chapter just look like this. Okay. Suppose the notebook paper is sold in a perfect competitive industry, and the industry short-run supply curve or marginal cost curve is P's MC's 2Q. So that's on the final exam, just a marginal cost curve for this. Okay. And we're Q's measured in millions of reams per year, and inverse demand is P's 40 minus AQ. So we learned this term, inverse demand, in the chapter of monopoly. Okay? And then we say, this is the inverse demand, and then we use P is A minus 2BQ to find the marginal revenue. Right? That's what we learned in the monopoly chapter, right? And also the imperfect multiplication chapter. But here, this inverse demand, just our demand curve. We don't need to derive the marginal revenue. Okay, that's market demand. Once we have marginal demand, not marginal demand, sorry, demand, marginal benefit. When we have demand and supply, and then you just use this two curve to solve for the market equilibrium quantity and price. Again, don't need to derive for marginal revenue, but that's not the case here. Okay, so you're given marginal cost curve, that's our supply, and you're given inverse demand, that's our demand. Okay, and then you solve for the equilibrium point. Okay, so let's look at this. What is the equilibrium market price and quantity sold? Set this to equal. That's 2Q, right? That's marginal cost supply equals demand. 40 minus AQ. 10Q is 40, so Q is 4. This market equilibrium quantity, and how to get a price, you can plug this 4 into either function. So P is 2Q, 2 times 4 is 8. Okay, that's our market equilibrium price and quantity. So 2Q, let's put this as 2Q. P is 2Q is our marginal cost, and the marginal benefit is demand. Marginal benefit, P is 40 minus AQ. So this is our 4, right? Market equilibrium price, and this is 8. Price and quantity. Okay, this is market equilibrium. And B, suppose that in their production process, paper manufacturers have been dumping waste in the nearby streams, and the external marginal cost is estimated to be 50 cents for each ream produced. For each additional unit produced, there is an external marginal cost, 50 cents. And calculate the socially optimal level of output and price for the paper industry. How do you get to that's the first question, okay, on the final exam. How do you find the socially optimal level of quantity and price? It's an unregulated market, right? Free market, that's Q market, P market. So if we know the size of external marginal cost, we know the cost effect, supply or demand. Supply is supply or demand affected by the external marginal cost. Supply. So supply, well, this is our private marginal cost, is 2Q, right? And this is social marginal cost equals what? Private marginal cost plus external marginal cost. That's the equation we learned from last class. So it's equal to what? What is it equal to? Social margin, that's for each unit of what paper produced. This is a private marginal cost. If they produce this amount, each unit of this, for each more additional unit produced, the private cost is like this much, but the social cost is this much, okay? Plus external marginal cost. So that's private cost plus what?
0.5.
0.5. Not 0.5Q, right? Because this is a marginal and external marginal cost. So this marginal cost is 2Q. That means this is the cost of producing one additional unit output, right? Producing one additional ream of paper. This is a cost, marginal cost. And then plus 0.5. If you plot 0.5Q, that's total cost and produce Q amount of output. So here we talk about the marginal cost because the marginal cost represent our supply. So this just plus this external marginal cost. Okay, and then you can solve for the socially efficient quantity. This is our Q star, socially efficient quantity. This is our P star. Okay. And in terms of numbers, it will be 40 minus AQ doesn't change. Marginal benefit equals social marginal cost. When you take the private and social cost all into consideration, there will be 2Q plus 56. Okay, and they can solve for the new equilibrium price and quantity. 10Q is 39.5, so Q is 3.95. Okay, and then you get the price. P will be 40 minus A times 3.95. That is 8.4, $8.40. So that's socially optimal level price is 8.4. And socially optimal level quantity will be 3.95. Okay. So optimal, socially optimal level is lower than the market equilibrium point. So when there are negative externalities, the free market is going to produce too much of a bad thing. Set supply to demand. P is 8, Q is 4. And when there are some actual external marginal costs, and then you can solve for a new equilibrium point and the socially optimal level of price and quantity. Any questions so far? Just go skip this for now. Very similar example. And here is about the positive externalities, right? Not enough of a good thing. So that means if you, for unregulated market or the free market tends to produce not enough of good thing, or not enough of the good when there are positive externalities. So positive externalities exist when economic activity has a spillover benefit enjoyed by third party. That means the party not involved in the transaction. Okay. And the marginal social benefit of an economic activity higher than private marginal benefit. So for each unit of output produced or purchased, the social benefit is higher than private benefit. Okay. The classic example of positive externality is education. That's why we all have free education. So here, the education is a very classic example of positive externalities. Okay. So you spend a lot of money to purchase education, right? To gain some education. You get some benefit. That's what we call private benefit. Benefit enjoyed by the purchaser. Right? But also there are some social benefit. That's external marginal benefit will also occur. That means you, your family, friends, your children can also get benefit, right? And your neighbor also get benefit, have a higher graduate educated neighbor, of lower crime rate, the whole society can get some benefit. So there are huge amount of external margin benefit where imposed on the whole society. Okay, so that's like pollution is a very classic example for negative externality. This education is a classic example for positive externalities. Education associated with private benefits, including higher lifetime earnings and many others. Education also associated with broader social benefits, such as an increase in overall entrepreneurial activity. Right? You guys could be entrepreneur in the future, and then your employees will get some benefit, or whole society will get some benefit, and higher income and a faster pace of technology growth. So since there is a huge amount of positive externalities for education, and free market tend to produce too little of this education, so that's why the government usually get involved. Okay, education all free from kindergarten to 12th grade for public school. And we can examine positive externalities with figure. Okay, so that's price of education, a college degree, and quantity of college degree, and this is our demand. Inverse demand represents the marginal benefit, right? The benefit you can get from purchasing one additional unit of college degree. So that's marginal benefit is our demand, private marginal benefit, and this is our private marginal cost, the cost you spend to get education. And because there is a positive externalities, the social benefit is different from private benefit. Social benefit or social marginal benefit is private marginal benefit plus an external marginal benefit. So this size, okay, is external marginal benefit. It just kind of here. The sides are the same. You got a social demand. It's our socially efficient quantity of college degrees and price. In an unregulated market for college degree production occurs at point B, right? That's private cost, private benefit. You can determine the marginal equivalent price of quantity. But if you take it into consideration the social benefit, that's your social optimal level. Okay. Right, that's what that is loss. So if free market, if no regulation, free market produce too little, right, lower than the optimal level. So that's why you lose some welfare. The whole society loses some welfare. So that's same logic. This shaded area triangle represents the data loss, okay, of producing too little of this thing. Data loss from externalities. Because externalities is a type of market failure. Right? If there are negative externalities, free market produce too much of that thing. If there are positive externalities, produce too little. So that's why there's market failure, and the economists or the government policymakers need to figure out a way to remedy the problem in order to correct those externalities or internalize externalities. So competitive markets with externalities produce more or less than the socially efficient. A number of market interventions can help correct externalities. There are two ways we'll talk about today. One is some work through their effect on prices, we call taxes or subsidies. Okay. People in tax or people in subsidies. And the second way is target the quantity produced and consumed. That means the government can say, hey, sellers, you cannot produce more than this amount, okay, the quota, or you cannot produce lower than that. That's quota. There are two ways. Working on the price, and the other is targeting the quantity. Okay, using price to correct externalities. Consider changing the price of goods produced in the presence of externalities. So the social and private benefits and cost align. For an active externality, there'll be a tax on production or consumption. For example, in this case, if the information is complete, that means if the supply curve and demand curve and external marginal cost, all this information are known to the public, to the government, policymakers, and then the government can just levy a tax or impose a tax that make the tax equal to the external marginal cost. Okay, the tax imposed on either buyers or sellers would be sellers. Okay, tax on seller, that means to produce one more unit output. I know this is how much your private cost, but you also need to pay taxes. The tax this amount, this size, right, of external marginal cost is equal to tax. Okay, that's increase the cost of producing one more unit output. In that way, the supply curve will shift upward, right? It shift to the left. Okay, that's for positive externalities, subsidized production or consumption. Just if the production has some positive externalities, just the government give buyers money to buy. Okay. For example, the education is free, government paid it, so just to go to school. So that's subsidy. Okay, in the presence of negative externalities, we'll look at the negative externalities. So on the final exam, there'll be negative externalities. Okay.
So will it just be solving for the tax, or will it be one about subsidy or the quota?
I'll let you know later on there. I will give you the size of tax and to let you know who pays how much. Okay. Economists often advocate for the use of Pigovan tax, common Pigovan tax, or just tax for correct and negative externalities. A tax on the activity that causes a negative externality and serves to equate the external marginal cost imposed by the externalities. Tax equal to external marginal cost. Otherwise, cannot make the price of quantity equal to socially optimal level. And designed to correct the market failures and therefore improve the societal welfare, social welfare, rather than distorting market like other taxes. Consider a power plant. Supply demand. In an unregulated market, the power company overproduces quantity Q markets at price P market, right? That's a private equilibrium price and quantity. And the tax is just equal to the size of external marginal cost. And then you can get a socially optimal level price and quantity. If there are positive externalities, we call that Pigovan subsidy. A subsidy for activity that produces a positive externality. Serve to equate the external marginal benefit imposed by an externality. So consider education, just the private demand, private benefit, private marginal cost, this market price and quantity. And now, if this information all available to the government policymakers, they know this is the size of external marginal benefit, and then they can just go, okay, for all the people who want to get the education, just I give you the money to do that. It's free. And that means for any additional unit of this education, the people get more benefit. Maybe because government gives you money. Private benefits here, but now because you need to pay, right? Lower benefit, but now government pays you, so you have a higher benefit. And then once the benefit is higher, and then that's how we determine the optimal price and quantity that's equal to socially optimal level. Okay. And now look at this example. The question I want you to do. This is a sample question for final exam. Last question. Okay. So return the paper ream of the figure figured out this question. Suppose the government imposes a tax of 50 cents on every ream of paper sold, and the industry short-run supply curve or market cost curve, PC, MC is 2Q, okay. And the inverse demand for notebook paper is P is 40 minus 8Q. Okay, what price will buyers pay? And what price will sellers receive? Net of tax after paying taxes to the government. This will be professional on the test. You know, this is the demand curve, marginal benefit. This is our private marginal benefit, 40 minus 8Q. And this curve, 2Q, is our private marginal cost. And since there is a 50 cents tax, that means, you know, that tax will, or the tax shifts the marginal cost curve upward to this position, right? So that's social marginal cost is private marginal cost plus external marginal cost, which is 2Q plus 0.5. So exactly the same. So you can get the same at the question when at this question, right? You can solve for Q star and P star. And Q star is 3.95. That's our socially efficient level of quantity, and P star is 8.4. Okay. And now the question asks you, what price would buyers pay? What price will buyers pay? The paper. The paper price is 8.4. 8.4, right? $80.04. And what price will sellers receive after paying taxes to the government? The buyers pay this amount of money to seller for each unit, right? 8.4. And the sellers receive this amount of money for each unit they sold. However, they need to pay 50 cents per unit to the government. So it's actually very straightforward. So the price the seller received after paying tax to the government is 8.4 minus 50 cents. That will be 7.9. Okay. Price is always the market price. Right, price determined by the market is always the price the buyer needs to pay to sellers. But sellers, after receiving this price, need to pay the 50 cents, right? 50 cents to the government, and then the seller will receive net of the taxes of $7.90. Okay, how many reams of paper will be sold? 3.95. Okay, that's socially optimal level of paper. Okay, so the taxes effectively solve the net rationality problem, okay, by shifting the supply upward. By shifting supply upward by the amount of taxes. Any questions? Okay. Seller price, buyer price, and they can solve for quantity, 3.95. Okay. So this is a socially optimal quantity. Let's skip this. Okay, now let's compare this to, oh wait, that's another way, quantity, quota thing. But on the final exam, there will only be texts. So effective quota on market with the negative externalities. So this is amount of external marginal cost, and this is a social marginal cost. If these information are complete, you get this Q market and P market. Right, this is a market equivalent price and a quantity. But if the information is complete to the policymakers, we set a quota to set a quota equals optimal level of quantity Q star. That means okay, all the firms cannot produce more than Q star. So before Q star, the marginal cost is like this, same, right? Same slope, same marginal cost. Right? But when the production above Q star, this marginal cost becomes vertical. That means With perfect information, price and quantity instruments or people-driven taxes, subsidies, and quota are equally effective in controlling externalities. But without perfect information, so usually the and some regulators have significant problems, or a significant problem face regulators. The cost of controlling externalities, or marginal abatement cost, that's marginal cost of removing some pollution or removing some externality, are often difficult to ascertain ex ante. And the benefit of controlling externalities, marginal pollution costs are similarly difficult to estimate. So in the case of pollution, value changes in human health and ecosystem, so it's very hard to determine. So the most effective way to correct externalities is people with tax and subsidies. Okay? Because of quota thing, it's very hard for the government to determine Q star. But it's rather easier for them to, levy a tax. So that's people in taxes is much easier for the government to implement. By some economic activities. When we're in final chapter, examine the situation in which consumers and producers may not appear to be rational, utility and profit maximizing agents. We have modeled throughout this text. So I encourage you to study for yourself. The last chapter is very interesting, actually. So people usually most of the time, not rational. For example, we love free stuff way more than people can imagine. For example, this pen or this marker is free or 20 cents. Usually, if it's free, you just grab a lot. But 20 cents, you're not going to buy. People view discount rate a lot lower than the actual discount rate. Okay, so many of those kind of things talk about in the final chapter, behavioral economics. Okay. All right, so do you need a break, or we can start talking about the final exam? Yeah. So key points for each chapter. So chapter 4, consumer behavior. There will be 2 questions. The first one is characteristic of indifference curve. So the question will be like, I'll give you indifference curve like this. What should be on the y-axis or x-axis for indifference curve? Y, X, and 2 goods. I suppose there are only 2 goods available to this person. An indifference curve like this. I give you, for example, point A, point B, and point C. And which of the following is correct? Let's say like that. You need to know bundle A and bundle B, that means combination. Right? If the person buy this combination of good X and Y, and this combination good and Y, because bundle A and bundle B provide the same amount of utility to this person. And the more to the northeast, the higher the utility that bundle provided. That means bundle C is preferred to bundle A or B. Okay? photo C, this combination of X and Y. Question. Second one, combining difference curve with the budget constraint to solve the utility maximization problem. What amount of Y, what combination good and X and Y can give people the highest utility? Or if we know this is a good Y, good X, this is a budget. Budget is fixed, right? How much money can earn this month. And then there's an indifference curve. Okay. And which combination of those X and Y can provide this person the highest utility? X is $2, price of Y is $4, for example. Okay. And the person has $100 available. And what the optimal level of X and Y the first person will purchase to maximize the profit,
Won't they get all of X?
maximize the utility.
Would they get all of X? Since it's cheaper, they can get more units.
That's when the two goods are perfect substitutes. So in this case, there's a condition. And the condition is make the slope of budget line equal to the slope of indifference curve at this point. Slope of budget line is negative W over is negative P of X over P of Y. Price of X over price of Y equals slope of indifference curve. That is margin rate of substitution. Margin rate of substitution, or MU X over MU Y. Okay, just to make sure that the budget line tangent to the indifference curve. Actually, it's Px over Py, all positive, equals Mux over Muy. Okay, and in this equation, since you know the mathematical expression for marginal utility of X, marginal utility of Y, that's Y, that's Px, Py, 2 over 4, right, for example. 2 over 4 equals Y over X. So you have two unknown variables, but one equation. You need another one. Is if we know the total income available is $100, and then you should Px times X plus Py times Y is 100. So this one is 2, and you can solve for X and Y. And X and Y are quantities, right? Quantity of X and quantity of Y. Right, this you give it X is $2. Y is $4, 100, right? So that's the second. That's chapter 4. Okay. Any questions so far? Okay. Chapter 5, 2 questions. So I will give you a graph so that you identify the income effects, the increase or decrease from 3 to 4, let me give you one example. So on the final exam, I'll give you this kind of this Y, X, budget, and this indifference curve. That's the optimal combination of X and Y, because given the budget, this combination can give the people highest utility. Right? Okay, now, that will make the people buy more of X, right? And lower amount, price of X decrease, kind of the people are richer, right? Relative income's higher. So we will reach a higher utility level. This is U2, this is U1. This is after, this is X1, Y1, and this is a Y2, X2. This initial point, X1, Y1, and after the change, the equivalent point is X2, at Y2. Okay. And now we know that because the price of X decrease, the people will purchase more of X from X1 to X2. Now you need to know that the two effects work together to make this change. One is income effect and the other is the substitution effect. Okay. On the midterm too, a lot of people get that question wrong. So that's substitution effect is you hold income constant or hold the utility constant. Because the price of one X, or price of one good, price of X decrease, this person has the incentive to buy more of X. That's substitution effect. We hold the utility constant or hold the income constant. So next question, how price-related goods affect demand for the goods? Y increase substitutes, right? Okay. Chapter 6, 2 questions. First one, the firm's constraint minimization problem. Constraint minimization problem. So constrained by what? KL. Okay, the firm, we assume that only employ the two inputs make outputs. If you're given, to produce a given amount of output, for example, Q2 is 10,000. To produce a given amount of output, how did the firm choose the amount of K and L? How to choose the optimal amount of, or correct amount of K and L? The correct or optimal means costly minimizing K and L. Okay, the firm choose the optimal amount of K and L to produce given amount of quantity, Q0 or Q2, 10,000. Okay, so firm need to choose how much capital to employ, how much labor to employ, produce this amount of output. But they have to minimize the cost, right? The optimal amount means cost minimizing. The firm needs to choose minimizing quantity, minimizing amount of capital labor to produce given amount of quantity. Okay. What is the minimum cost of producing a given number of outputs? Like Q2 is 10,000. 10,000 to produce this amount of output. What's the minimum cost? That means we need to find the absolute cost curve tangent to this isoform curve. Okay, there's a condition. So what is the condition to get this tangency point? the slope of iso cost equal to slope of iso quant. Right? What is slope of iso cost? Negative. Right? W over R. And the slope of iso quant is marginal productive labor over marginal productive capital, right? Or marginal productive labor over W equals marginal productive capital over R. That's
Oh, is it for the cost itself? So that,
other question is quantity is given. What is the, which condition we need to satisfy in order to get the cost minimization K&L? Is the slope of iso cost equal to the slope of iso quant? Is that right? What is slope of iso cost? Negative W over R is equal to slope of iso quant, which is MPL over MPK, or MPL over W equals MPK over R. That's marginal product per dollar spent on labor equals marginal product per dollar spent on capital. Okay, you are given W and R, the price of inputs. And also you are given the mathematical expression for marginal product labor and capital. And then that's second condition, this first one. And you can solve for the two unknown variable, which is K and L. Right? And then since you know the price of those inputs, so W times K just solved, you're given this, you're given W, plus R, price of capital, W times L, plus price of capital times K, and then you can solve for the cost. That cost, you can make sure that is minimized. That makes sense? Chapter 7, cost. Two questions. First, the relationship between marginal cost, average total cost, marginal cost, and average variable cost. For example, the question will be determine the quantity that minimizes average, long-run average total cost. So the cost of function, this is the cost, right? The y-axis. The x-axis is cost determined by the quantity produced. Marginal cost, average variable cost, average total cost. Right? So if a question asks you to determine the quantity that minimizes average variable cost, and they need to know that marginal cost pass through the minimum level of average variable cost. You just make the, I give you the mathematical expression for marginal cost, make that equal to the average variable cost, and then that you can solve for Q, and that Q is a quantity that minimizes average variable cost. Okay. Same thing, if I ask you, determine the quantity that minimize average total cost. The only thing you need to know is marginal cost curve passes through the minimum level of average total cost. So just make marginal cost is equal to average total cost, and then you can solve for Q. That Q is the amount, is the quantity that minimizes the average total cost. And again, total cost divided by Q is average total cost. Variable cost divided by Q is average variable cost. Okay. So that's the first question. Second one is, given the firm's production function and input prices, you're given this production function and input price, W and R, how do you find the short-run average total cost of producing a given number of outputs? I think this is a very, compared to others, a little bit challenging question on the final exam. It's chapter 7, second one. Okay, so second question. You are given production function and input price. How do you find the short-run average total cost of producing a given number of outputs? How do you find the long-run average total cost of producing given units output? So if it's short run, that means there at least one input is fixed. So Q is FKL. If the short run, that means K is fixed. For example, K is 10, or this is K times L. For your case 10, that's happening short run. Okay. Average total cost. So K is 10. Produce a given amount of output. If this is a Q1, is 100, and L is 10. Right? To produce this amount of output in the short run, K is a fixed, and you can solve for L. Once you know amount of capital employed, amount of labor employed, and then you can solve for total cost, right? Because you're given the price of the capital, you're given the price of labor, and then W, and then average. So you need to divide by Q, right? Q is 100. So that's how you solve for the short run average total cost. The challenging part is on the second question is how do you get the long run average total cost? Just a little bit more complicated than this one. How do you solve for long run average total cost? That means K is not fixed. K is a variable in this case. Q is FKL. Okay, is K times L. How do you solve for long run average total cost? That means you need to solve for K and L and then plug back into this K times R plus L times W divided by Q. Right? Total cost divided by Q. Average total cost. So how do you solve for K and L? Same thing, right? That's negative W over R negative equals negative MPL over MPK, or you use this equation, right? You are given, you will be given this MPL, MPK. You don't need to solve any derivative. Okay. Any questions so far? Chapter 8, supply in the competitive markets. So how to solve for profit maximizing quantity and price in perfect competitive markets. P is MC. Price is marginal cost. Solve for here. P is MC. That's for the perfect competitive market. And also Bertrand model. The Bertrand model is also P is MC. Right, because they are competing by choosing prices. So if I undercut your price, and then I will steal all your customers. If your price is lower than mine, then you will steal all my customers. So we'll just compete price. And in the end, the natural equilibrium will be price is driven down to marginal cost. Who has a lower marginal cost, who will win in this price war. Of course, you need to know this is derived by this, derived from this marginal revenue to marginal cost. Derived by the maximum profit. Okay, profit is P times Q minus total cost. Okay, this is derived by that. Price is given, or via price table. Okay. So for, okay, that's P times E, and then you can solve for Q. Okay, so that's P MC. P is our demand, right? This demand is equal to P is MR. It's also AR, okay? You need to know that. This D is price, is MR, is AR. So you need to know that P is also equal to AR. That's very important for their question asking that. Okay. P is MR. MR is change in revenue over change in quantity, right? And P is given changing quantity, so that's P. And average revenue is PQ over Q is P. So you need to know that if the firm is operating in a perfect competitive market, price is AR. Okay, and also MR. Okay, perfect competitive market. And the second one is short-run solution in a perfect competitive market. Shut down price. When price is yes, above average variable cost. Okay. When price is lower than average variable cost, and then shut down. A long-run solution for perfect competitive market. Profit is 0. Right? So if this is the price, marginal cost, this is the average total cost, and then the firm will keep operating. The firm will earn positive profit, right? More firm enter the market, and then ship and supply to the right, and then the price goes down until the price equal to the minimum level average total cost. Right? So the price is equal to the minimum average total cost, and then we know price is a marginal cost when we want to maximize profit. So marginal cost equal to long run average total cost, and then you can find that long run equilibrium. Okay. Well, chapter 9, market power and monopoly. 2 questions. First one is how to solve for profit maximizing price and quantity for a firm with market power. That's where we first learn the term inverse demand. So that's marginal profit, P, Q, inverse demand is that of horizontal, right, in the competitive market. And this marginal revenue is here. And the marginal cost curve, upward sloping, and then you first need to solve for Qmax. This set this MC equals MR is here. That's Qmax, the quantity that makes my profit. Okay, so a lot of you have a tendency to find the price here. This is the price. That's wrong, right? That's the price equal marginal cost. That means even if you are so set of the market, you still set the price and marginal cost. That doesn't make sense. So the price, you need to use the demand to get the price. So this is your price. There's a markup, right? There's a price and the marginal cost. So the price is here. This is how you determine the quantity, and based on this quantity level, to use the demand, find the price. Okay, that's your equilibrium price and quantity.
And then marginal revenue is A minus 2BQ?
Yes.
Is that the formula?
It's A, P, inverse demand. P is A minus BQ, and this P, or marginal revenue, is A minus 2BQ. Okay. So this is monopoly, and for the collusion or curtail, the same thing, right? This is the second page of the first question is how to determine the optimal price and quantity in collusion or curtail competition. That's if 2 firms operate in that, and 2 firms collectively act as a monopoly. So just you can solve for monopoly price and quantity, and don't forget to divide, the quantity should be divided by the number of firms. If the quantity is 40 and then there are two firms, and that means each firm produced 20. Right? But price is the same as the monopoly price. Let's go back to the second question. How a monopolist reacts to market changes. For example, the monopoly before, the inverse demand is A minus BQ, 2 minus 3Q, right? And marginal cost is 10, right? And then there's something changed, something happened, and the inverse demand changed to 4 minus AQ, and marginal cost stays the same. And what would be the change on the quantity and price? Okay, to solve for, 2 minus 6Q equals 10, right? Solve for Q, and then plug back into demand. You find the P star, Q star, right? After the change, same logic, same procedure. Find P star, Q star, and they can find whether price is increase or decrease, quantity increase, decrease. Okay, so let's check it out, the imperfect computation. First, pollution, right, curtail. And the second one, how to determine the equilibrium price and quantity level in Bertrand computation. Bertrand is P's MC.
For that equation we were just working on for reacting to market changes, you would make it so that MC equals MR and then solve from there, right?
Yes.
Okay.
That's MC equal MR can always solve for Q.
Yeah.
And then you plug back into, don't plug, you plug back into Q.
Yeah.
Demand. Right? Sometimes MQ is not constant, is depend on Q.
Then plug back into
Demand.
you said.
Yeah, plug back into inverse demand to solve for price. Okay. How to determine the Bertrand is P's MC, right? Third one is Cornell computation solution. So it'll ask you to solve for reaction function, right? Reaction function, Cornell one. For example, when you're given the P is 10 minus 2Q, two firms, Cornell, so 2 minus 2Q1, 2Q2. And then MR for first firm will be A minus 2BQ, okay? 10 minus 4Q1 minus 2Q2 and make it equal to the marginal cost, for example, 10. And then Q1 will be a bit weird. 2, for example. Marginal cost is A minus 2Q2 over 4. Okay, that's your reaction function for firm 1. Okay, and then same procedure, same logic to solve for reaction function for firm 2. And then the optimal price and quantity comparison among Collusion, Bertrand, and Cornell. So price of Collusion is highest, right? That's monopoly price. And higher than price of Cornell, higher than price of Bertrand. Is that right? Bertrand is a perfect competitive price, marginal cost. And quantity for Collusion is the lowest. Right? Q Collusion lower than Q Cornell, lower than Q Bertrand. Bertrand price is lowest, but quantity is highest. Short run, long run solutions for monopolistic computation. Short run, just MRMC to maximize profit in solve for Q. Okay, for a long run, it will be P's MC. Okay. There's an infinite number of firms producing differentiated products. And then price is MC. Profit is 0. Okay, for long run. Monopolistic computation long run. P's MC, profit is 0. Okay, the question I would just ask you, for the long run, what is the long run equilibrium for profit for monopolistic computation market? Price equals MC. And price increase or decrease or equal to MC, and profit is the increase or decrease to 0. Okay, so that's game theory. 5 questions. How to find actual equilibrium in one period game, the box checking method. Okay. And find the outcome of game if players follow max-min strategy. That's the strategy, minimize loss. To give you an example. Retiree or player 1 player number 1, player number 2, and strategy A, strategy B, strategy A, strategy B. This is a negative 515, negative 25, negative 25, 15, 0, 0. Okay. So how to find Nash equilibrium? If, player 1 choose A, and player 2 will choose B. Right? Player 1 will choose B, player 2 will choose A. There's no dominant or dominating strategy for player 2. I think it's symmetrical. So player 2 choose A, player 1 will choose B. Player 2 choose B, player 1 will choose A. Right? There's no pure strategy. Okay. If I ask you, if player 1 and player B, both of them choose a max and min strategy, what is strategy each player will choose? If player 1 choose A, player A's max min strategy will be, or player A will choose B, right? To avoid the greatest loss. If player 1 choose B, of course, player 2 will choose A. But to avoid this greatest loss, what if my opponent is an idiot? Right? What if my opponent, player 1 choose A, no matter what, I will have this greatest loss. So the max min strategy for player 2 is B, no matter what, because I'm not sure whether this guy is rational. Right? Same thing for player 1. Player 2 choose A, player 1 will avoid this greatest loss, right? Or choose B. Player 2 choose B to avoid the greatest loss. Player 1 will also choose B. Right? So if both players choose their maximum strategy, and this will be Nash equilibrium, to avoid the greatest loss. Okay. How to find Nash equilibrium in repeated games? So there are 2 times. One is the finite repeated games, right? That the Nash equilibrium is the same as the Nash equilibrium in one pure game. Finite repeated game, backward induction. So for each round of game, there's kind of Nash equilibrium, right? And the same Nash equilibrium as the one in the one pure game. For infinite one, I will cut you some slack, so there are no question about the discount rate. So you don't need to worry about how to solve for D. Okay, there are no infinitely repeated game question on final. And the last one is how to find the Nash equilibrium for a sequential game. Use backward induction. Right? So backward induction, sequential, that's extensive. I'll give you extensive form, and then you can first solve for the last round of the game, and then work backwards to find the equilibrium. So player 1 has 2 strategies. Strategy 1, strategy 2. Player 2 has 2 strategies. 1, 2, 1, 2. That's 30, 30, 70, 20, 20, 70, 50, 50. Right? And then how to get these Nash equilibrium for this sequential game. Work backwards. Look at the second person or second movers pay off. Higher, and then first mover will know that second mover will choose this 2 strategy, and then compare 30 to 20, and this is the Nash equilibrium. Okay. Chapter 16, asymmetric information. 5 questions. The first one, the lemons problem, just very straightforward. Find the buyer's willingness to pay under asymmetric information. For example, 50% chance to get a lemon, 50% chance to get a plum. And plum worth $10,000, lemon worth 0, and what is my willingness to pay? Okay, just 50% times 10,000 plus 50% times 0. So, wait, 5,000. So 5,000. It's just a fund that expansion value. And second one, adverse selection rationale. That means I will ask you a question like the following are examples of adverse selection, or you need to know that adverse selection is the root cause is asymmetric information, right? Information asymmetry. And then second one is cause lower expected value or something, right? Lower willingness to pay. And lower willingness to pay will cause high value goods, less high quality products put on the market, right? And more low quality product available. So that means the low quality things or, or individuals or low quality things will be adversely selected. Okay, so that's how do you understand the adverse selection problem. And the next one is moral hazard interpretation. There's a question will be, which of the following is the example of moral hazard? So you need to know that as moral hazard is about how one party acts once economic relationship has been entered into, right? For example, after an insurance policy has been sold, a contract has been signed, an employee has been hired, and so on. How might drivers behavior change if they know they are covered by auto insurance policies? Okay, that's an example of moral hazard. And the last one for the chapter, how to find the equilibrium in principal agent games. There are 2 questions. Okay. For example, refer to the extensive form above. What is the equilibrium in this principal agent game? Okay, so backward induction. There's Selena, Joe. Okay. One is flat rate 150, and then that's link the payments to the profits and solve for it.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Which is the middle?
So, yeah, there are 30 questions. Any questions so far? So I have office hour today from 12 to 4. And I might have, or any questions, just send me an email, make an appointment with me. Okay, I'm pretty free. Final exam is on next Thursday, 11 to 1, right? This classroom. Okay. Any questions? Okay, or the homework is not homework bad work, or any questions? Oh, thanks.
Thank you.